Hello and welcome to your practice. My name is Mary. Today we are going to be taking care of our knees. So working on gaining flexibility in the area of the knee, but also building strength around the knee joint. So for today's practice, a block and a chair may come in handy. Let's get started. We'll begin on our back. And I'm going to grab my block right away. And just start by settling in first. So feel your breath, notice your breath. Draw your attention to this moment, this time. Feel your back settling into the earth. And just notice where you're holding tension. You could have your knees up or down, whatever's comfortable for you. And notice if you're holding tension anywhere. And see if you can maybe release like 10% of the tension that you're holding. I just noticed I always seem to have tension in my shoulders, so I'm going to let that go. I have my feet wide, my knees splayed together. That feels comfortable for me. But find a position that feels comfortable for you. Take a few breaths here. You could even say something like, as you're breathing in, inhaling, and as you're breathing out, exhaling. Just coming into the practice, coming into this time. Now bring your feet about hip-width distance apart or a position that feels comfortable for your knees. Take your feet off the ground, place your hands on your knees, and we're just going to do some little rolls. So moving first one direction, not even moving the knee joint yet, actually more moving the hips right now. And then come to stillness, and then just move your feet up towards the sky and down. And we'll do that with breath, and only move to a point where you feel no pain, maybe a little bit of a stretch. So breathing in as your feet come up, exhaling down, supporting your knees with your hands, just finding gentle movement, just building some fluid in the joint. And if you have knee issues, you might feel some cracking and creaking, which is okay, but don't move to a point where you're feeling pain. So just breathing in and out. Okay, let your feet come to the floor. We'll take a breath just to give ourselves a little break. Now bring your feet up. Again, so your legs will be up. Support the back of your legs with your hands. And we're just going to point and flex our feet. So once again, moving with breath. So as you flex, breathe in, exhale, point. Flexing as you breathe in, pointing as you breathe out. And we're doing this just to loosen up and stretch out all of the muscles in the back of the leg. So sometimes if you have very tight muscles, that can aggravate areas of the joints. So just very gentle movements, pointing and flexing. Okay, let your knees or your feet come down. If you have a block, what you can do is place the block between your knees. If you don't have a block, simply bring your knees and feet together. So we're going to go into bridge pose. So bring your hands alongside your body and start by placing your feet in a position that feels comfortable. You might have to move your feet up or down. Now squeeze your knees together if you have the block, or squeeze your knees and ankles together And we're just going to do a couple pulses. So squeezing and releasing. Squeezing and releasing. So you might want to stay just in this position, squeezing and releasing. The next level is to come into bridge pose. So as you're bringing your hips up and inhaling, squeeze your knees together or squeeze the block. And we'll hold for 2 breaths. And then come down as you exhale. So let's do that 2 more times. So breathing in, squeezing. And then exhaling, lowering down, still squeezing. So when you come down, we'll release the tension. Now squeeze knees together, rise up, still holding tightly, pressing together. Exhaling down and release. Once again, squeeze together, rise up, and then come down. So you can take the block out of the way and then come up to a seated position. From seated position, you can sit with your knees up, and we're just gonna gently massage the area of the joint, the knee joint. So maybe using both hands just along the side, just noticing if there's any tight spots or tension. And then we'll go to the other side. Just kind of releasing any tightness that you might feel around that area. All right, so now we're going to come up to a standing position. Grabbing the block if you have it, we'll come to Tadasana. So bring your feet first about hip-width distance apart. Really ground your feet into the earth. So feel all 4 corners of your feet pressing in. Notice your knees and see if you can give a slight micro bend to your knees. So doing that allows the muscles of your legs to support your knees as opposed to having all of that weight on the knee joint. So this is something I encourage you as you're standing anytime to really have that little micro bend to release that pressure on the knee joint. So now stand up tall. Draw your shoulders up towards your ears and then draw your shoulder blades down and back. So really extending your spine, standing tall. So we'll take a breath here. Just feeling the muscles working along the knee joint. Now, if you have a block, you can use it. We're going to put it between the knees. Otherwise, you can bring your feet together. Sometimes that gets a little bit off balance, so you could bring a chair for support. So I'm going to use the block. So squeezing the block between the knees, so standing tall. So we're going to go through a standing and chair pose series. So squeezing the block in chair pose and Tadasana, we're going to just bend the knees slightly, squeezing the block together. You could bring your arms up or to your chest and then stand up and slightly release. So squeeze the block, standing tall. Now come into chair pose and just come to a position in chair pose where you feel comfort, never feeling any pain, and rising up. And as you're sinking into chair pose, really put most of your weight on your heels. You could even bring your toes up to feel that the weight distribution on your heels, but then just gently put your toes down. And we'll do that one more time. So squeeze, sit in chair, and then we'll stand up. We can set the block aside. We're going to come into Warrior 2 pose. So you could use the chair for support if you need it. So start by stepping your right foot back, placing your back foot at about a 45-degree angle, and then we're going to come into a position where we slightly bend our knee. So noticing not to hyperextend the knee, so make sure you can see your toes, and just notice if you tend to track inward, see if you can just press that leg so that it goes outward. You might have to adjust your back foot if it feels like too much strain. So play with that, find a solid footing on both feet, find a good balance, and once you've found that position, you could bring your hands to your hips or out to your sides. So if your hands are out to your sides, we're going to really settle in, gazing out over your left fingertips, feeling the strength in your front leg. And as you're holding this pose, notice where your breath is. So if you're holding your breath, start to just tell yourself, inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And if your arms start to get tired, you can bring your arms alongside, just give a little shoulder roll, and then you can come back up again. And then you can bring your torso forward and step both of your feet together. With your feet about hip-width distance apart, bring your arms up and out, and we're going to forward fold, but bend your knees a little bit first, maybe a lot, and then once you've found a good position for your knees, we're going to forward fold. So your chest will be resting on the top of your thighs. You could bring your hands, the tent your fingers alongside your feet. Let your neck completely relax. So from this position, we're just going to slowly straighten just a tiny bit and then exhale down. So we'll do a few more of those pulses. So as you breathe in, just slightly straighten your legs only to a point of comfort. Exhaling, releasing. Breathing in, straightening a little bit. Exhale, release. Now, as you come up, tuck your chin to your chest, slowly roll up, keeping your knees bent, rolling up. And when you come to a standing position, lift your chin off your chest and come into Tadasana again. So now we're going to do the opposite side. So step your right foot forward, your left foot back. Once again, really settling in and finding a foot placement where your knee is comfortable. So it might be bringing your back foot forward, maybe even a little bit further back. So play around with that. So come to a position where your knee is bent so you can see the toe. Watch out for hyperextension. And if the knee is drawing in, see if you can press that knee out a little bit. And then once you've found a solid footing, you can bring your arms out to your side and gaze out over your right fingertips and settle in. And let the strength of your legs work and support you. Breathing as you hold the pose. Maybe giving your arms a rest if you need to, placing your hands on your hips. And bringing back out to the sides once you've had a little bit of a break. And then bring your hands to your hips, step your left foot to meet your right, and we'll come into that forward fold position again. So take a deep breath in. As you're folding, bend your knees first like you're sitting in chair pose, and then fold your body over. Let your neck relax, feel the length in your spine. When you're ready to take a breath in, slightly straighten your legs, and then exhale, fold and release. Breathing in and out. Straightening the legs a little bit as you inhale. Exhale, release. Draw your chin towards your chest. Slowly rise up, knees bent. And then once you come to your standing position, you can look up. Okay, next we're going to come back onto our backs. And you might like a blanket as you're getting ready to come to the resting part of our practice. So if you want to grab that, go ahead. So once again, we'll start where we began. So your knees could be up, maybe your feet wide, knees together, or your feet about hip width distance. And then we're going to bring our feet off the ground and just do those slight movements, moving the hips around, holding on to your knees, just rolling. Now bring your feet up and then down, bending at the knees, up and down. One more time, up and down. And then bring your feet up and we'll do the pointed flex. So flexing and pointing, exhale. Breathe in, point, exhale, flex. One more time. Breathe in, point, exhale, flex. And then we're coming into our final resting position. So that could be Shavasana with your legs wide, your arms out to your side. It may feel comfortable to have a blanket under your knees. So come to a position where you can find stillness and comfort. So once you've settled in and found that position, come back to your breath and notice your breath. Specifically notice your inhales and your exhales, and notice if the time of your inhale matches the time of your exhale, or if it's different. And what we're going to be working towards is extending the length of the exhale. And it's been shown that if you have a longer exhale than inhale, this can get you into a more relaxed state. So you might start by counting your inhale, maybe 1, 2, and then as you exhale, count to 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. So play around with that. Don't get to a point where you're feeling air hungry. Just kind of play around with seeing if you can extend the length of your exhale. Maybe it's 1 second breath in, exhaling for 2. So just practice that for several breaths. And as you're practicing, notice if you're holding tension anywhere. Sometimes when we're thinking and trying to do one thing, we sometimes tense up our body. So try one more of your exercises, inhaling and exhaling, and then just let go of your breath control. Bring awareness to your body, starting with your head. Notice if you're holding any tension in your face or your tongue or your jaw, and see if you can let that tension go. Bring awareness to your neck. Notice if there's any tension residing there. As you breathe in, notice the tension, and as you exhale, just let it go. You might notice your head sinks into the mat as you let that neck tension go. Bring awareness to your shoulders. Let the muscles of your shoulders relax. Take a breath in, and then as you exhale, release the muscles and completely relax. Bring awareness to your back, your upper back, mid-back, and low back, and allow the muscles to release. Feel yourself melting into your mat. Bring awareness to your arms, your upper arm, elbow, forearm, wrist, hands, and fingers. Take a breath in, and then as you exhale, allow all the muscles to relax. Bring awareness to your legs, your thighs, your knees, your calves, your ankles, your feet and toes, and allow the muscles of your leg to completely relax. And now that your whole body is relaxed, bring awareness to your knees and send some love and compassion to your knees. They work very hard supporting you. So just allow yourself this time to let them heal, completely relax, and just let go. Rest here for a few moments. There's nothing left for you to do but simply be and take care of yourself and heal. To your breath. You might notice how gentle and soft it has become now that you've found relaxation. Begin to lengthen your inhales and exhales, feeling the energy and oxygen coming through your body. Perhaps you feel some wiggles in your fingers and your toes as your body starts to come alive again. And just continue to take deep breaths. And then when you're ready, roll on to your right side, perhaps using your right arm as a pillow. You could draw your knees up to your chest. And take a moment in gratitude, thanking yourself for taking time for self-care today. When you're ready, press yourself up into a seated position. And when you arrive, draw your hands to your heart. Thank you so much for practicing today. Namaste.